one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There I go. Okay. This is our July meeting, so it's a short one, and it's basically just about the consent agenda, which, there we go. The consent agenda is a meeting management tool whereby the board is able to pass multiple items with one motion. The consent agenda items have all been reviewed by the board prior to the meeting, and any board member may remove an item from the consent agenda and place it on the regular agenda for discussion. So do I have a motion?
I move the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Would anyone like to second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the consent agenda passes. And normally that would be the extent of our meeting, but I did ask to put a calendaring item on here because I think it's important that we get a fall board retreat scheduled. And I know how hard it is to herd these 5 cats into one room. I was sort of partly moved by the MOU motion that we had at the last meeting, because I do think one of the things we want to do is talk about whether or not we want to put that into policy, but we also have a lot of other normal things that go on the fall agenda, as well as we have not monitored our own policies in a really very, very long time. And I think we need to do that. So I actually think, and you guys can all get upset with me, but I actually think that we're going to need 2 days on this retreat. And thoughts about availability and when we might want to do it. I know late August is probably tough for administration, late August, early September. I'm not really sure.
Well, Suzanne, the one thing that I did want to bring up is, we have 4 bargains open, and I know they're not MOUs, but after the last board meeting, I did start to get some questions from one of the bargaining teams about, authority and TAs. And so, as I know I'd sent an email to you and Marnie with an idea about how we might operationalize the MOU decision from the last meeting. And one of the best things I can think of to also sort of don't avoid the same mistake I made last year is really spending some time with the bargaining team and with the board prior to the bargaining sessions and getting really clear parameters from the board. And we kind of need to do that soon, because we'll be bargaining in August. And I mean, it's obviously we've bargained for, I've bargained in this district for 20 plus years now, but I think it would be helpful. I started to get that question the Friday after the board meeting because they were bargaining the new nurses contract, and there was some concern about what they should be agreeing to or not agreeing to. So I think that, I don't know, that would be helpful to us for sure, to be able to have a really, and we probably can't do it in one conversation. We probably almost need to do it by, Jake, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's teachers, IEA, SEIU.
So we have 4 open contracts, SEIU, PSE, food, and we also have the formation of a new union, the Issaquah Nurses Association. Those are actually open contracts that don't have closed deals. And then any union at any given time could demand to do impact bargaining. So you can have the whole full 8. We actually have bargaining sessions scheduled for the nurses the last 2 days in July. That's the only break we have, and then we're going to go right into bargaining. So I would imagine 2 or 3 days of bargaining a week throughout August and September. That excludes the impact bargaining, if any, with IEA.
But we always approve contracts no matter what, Jake. So that's not anything new or different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about more on the front end, Harlan, in terms of, I just would like to do a better job of getting a clearer parameters from the board as we move forward. As I said, that was a mistake that I made last year, and not getting clear enough parameters. And I just, my takeaway was that I do think that I need to spend more time with the board and probably my bargaining teams as well. Not that I can't think of anything, you know, like, for example, Jake mentioned the classified nurses bargain that would preclude from the regular operations of the 5-day-a-week schooling or anything, but I just think it would be probably a good practice going forward anyway, to just get clear parameters from the board so that, you know, the team is bargaining with confidence, I guess.
Yeah, and that partly I did nudge Ron. I was gone last meeting, apologies. And I had to have Diane send the motion language because I wasn't clear about between a TA and an MOU, because the TA is actually a set. It's an agreement between the parties. And, you know, I don't have clear direction, you know, as superintendent. I was like, well, a contract is basically a bundle of tentative agreements that gets rolled into an MOU or a final batch that becomes what you vote on. Now, a memorandum of understanding is only one legal vehicle. You have to reach an agreement between two parties. So that's where I was kind of pushing for clarity. I quite frankly didn't know where my authority now lays, both on the financial and, you know, the operational side.
So what, oh, Harlan, go ahead.
I just should say, I'm going to ask the board president if we're going to veer very clearly into a different topic other than calendaring, then I think we need to add it as an agenda item just for.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you,
Because
Harlan.
right now we're way off of calendaring.
Yeah,
Well-
no, I was just saying it because I know we've got bargaining dates coming up. So for the sake of calendaring, I think Harlan makes a good point. This is not an exec session or anything like that. But that I guess I was just advocating for as soon as possible to be able to have some time together to have executive session time around bargaining parameters.
Right, and that's actually where I was going to try to reel us back to as well, which is what I'm hearing is we need to have a meeting with the board and the bargaining team sooner rather than later. That's not necessarily a retreat. That could simply be an exec session.
Yes.
We're looking for dates in July.
Late July, Director Moore, is what I would request, starting sometime that week of the 26th, the last week in July.
Okay.
I'm available that full week.
I am as well.
If we're talking evening, or do you want me to look at during the day?
We don't have to talk evening. I think it's open to whatever availability people have.
I think the only availability I have that week is the 26th evening.
26th evening, that's Monday.
Okay, and that's fine with me. Any of the evenings are fine with me. It's just if we wanted to try to get into the day that I would have to check, but the evenings are good.
Okay, Anne?
The evening of the 26th works.
Okay, so we should schedule an exec session for the evening of the 26th. Harlan, what define evening?
Probably after 5. So it's probably usually more for Sydney to get done than me.
Okay, Sydney, what's your time to start?
Rolling. I could start earlier that day. I could start as early as probably 4 that day.
Okay, so Harlan, pick a time. 5.
5. Okay.
Would somebody like to make a motion? Oh, wait, we're gonna do this in person?
Yes.
Okay. Does that change anybody's thing? No, okay. I'm sorry, because we're on a Zoom meeting. My brain's in Zoom, but
Jake, you're available on that date?
Yeah, and Superintendent, I was thinking as long as I'm there and at least another representative from Human Resources, with you, we could be, that's as much as the cabinet you would probably need present to at least kind of have a clear guidance.
Well, and then, yeah, and Jake, maybe we might have to chunk these out a little bit and not try to do all parameters for all 4 groups. So whoever we think the lead bargaining group is going to be. So I'll do some follow up with Suzanne maybe, or we'll just, what did you tell me which ones are in the queue first that we want to start?
Yeah,
we started to IEA about a real bargain for a while.
and as we discuss the board, we may be able to create broader draft parameters for the classified units as a whole instead of having to do a singleton as well.
Okay.
They do have commonalities except for the formation of one of the new unions, which is pretty unique. I have yet to experience that. So it's a first time for me as well, the formation of a new union group and establishing a contract from the ground up.
Right, but you're making it sound like we would need, if we're only going to be doing one group on that day, are we then looking for additional dates that we can do additional groups, which is going to be challenging because now if that was the only week where we could come up with for the last week of July, I'm not available the first week of August. So do we need to instead do something the 3rd week of July in addition to July 26th?
Well, unfortunately, Director Moore, I mean, I can do it. I can do that one virtually, but I will be in Chelan that week.
Oh, the 3rd week of July.
Yeah, the 19th.
I think really what, as Superintendent said, if we get a little front end time with the bargaining teams and the board, then we'll get a little more clarity about where those lines of demarcation now lie. That's really what I'm looking for. I don't want to bring you something that you don't like or outside of parameters, and sometimes that can be clear when there's 5 of you, and we very rarely take a unanimous act. We don't take action in an exec session, so that's really what I'm after personally, is just some clarity as we go into the next round of bargaining, because we have, as I said, 4 traditional opens and then impact bargain potentially with any other unit.
Okay, Sydney.
And I don't have the raise your hand feature, so sorry. So just so I'm clear about outcome, to kind of follow up on what Andrew was just saying, it sounds like, Jake, what you just said was we need to come together and just make sure it's kind of procedural clarity. What are the bounds of where we want to act or participate, and maybe use an example of one to get there? Not necessarily, I guess, back to Ann's point, do you think we need time to go through the specifics on multiple, or is enough to do ground setting and one example so that we kind of know how it'll apply?
I personally believe that it would be ground setting for the classified units, just given their commonality. Teachers, of course, is usually a different beast altogether, given its size and complexity and duration, and obviously its effect on the school day. So I would think, traditional ground rules or parameters for the classified units. There is some uniqueness, as I said, for the formation of a new contract, but for the most part, just clear parameters on, when you were doing your work a couple weeks ago, and I wasn't privy to that conversation, or I haven't had a chance to listen to it, what about a tentative agreement and things of that nature. So that's really what I'm seeking clarity on, is Superintendent and I had a long conversation about trying to stay in bounds and obviously exercising the board's wishes. So, but I get a little nervous because it's like playing telephone if I don't hear directly from all of you at the same time. So.
Okay, so I think the question we've got is, we can take action tonight and set up a meeting for 5 o'clock on the 26th. How long is that going to tide you over until you need the next exec session?
That will depend upon the rapidity of the bargain and if and how strict your parameters are, to be honest, right? And what authority we have at the table to settle or not. Because I don't know what those might be yet.
And it'll be fair then to just land on that as one of our to-dos on the 6th. Is that fair?
Correct.
Yeah,
the union groups, for the most part, except for those last 2 days in July, historically don't bargain in July and have not provided me any other dates except for that new formation of the Issaquah Nurses Association. So
I think that the next date of our first August board meeting would be a natural next time to have more conversation about it. But I would argue that given one, I would encourage you to listen to the discussion, Jake. But then the second thing would be, I think that there should be time carved out for us to talk about the IEA MOU bargaining sessions that are scheduled for the end of July, because I think that has more. I personally have more interest in that than I do. And there was no discussion on us doing anything differently for full year or full contract normal bargaining. That was not ever part of the conversation. So you always give us a heads up on, here's where we think we're going to land. Here's what I'm walking into the room going to do. I don't see personally wanting anything different than that. But I do have very specific concerns based on the past year and a half on those July 30th and 31st days that are coming up. And so I think that that would be time better spent from an administration standpoint, just my perspective.
Yeah, although we do have to be careful again, because we have to look at the language of the motion that we passed in terms of MOUs and TAs, and they can do in the
I
process.
do not believe it said tentative agreement, did it?
No,
We did not.
No.
Okay,
uh,
all right.
that was just, I think, Marnie, to that, the staff and Mr. Cooper wasn't there that were doing the bargaining, that it just was a concern that they raised. And maybe having a conversation like the one we're having in planning would be enough to help the team understand that, no, you have the authority to move forward. So I think it just came up. It came up as a result of the conversation at the board level, and then they happened to be bargaining the next day. And so, but I also think it, and I don't disagree with Harlan talking about the conversations that will happen with IEA at the end of the month. That makes sense as well. But honestly, this is just me thinking, I don't want to make a mistake and misrepresent the will of the board. So I want to get clarity. And I think I just needed to do a better job of having these parameters conversations. And so,
Okay, and again, I don't want to get too far afield from the actual calendaring.
yes. So, and
That's
that
what we're-
my only sense was to try to get a date set fairly early, President Weaver, so we could just move forward with that information and then, take it kind of from there, I guess.
Okay, so we can set up an exec session for the 26th. That still leaves us with needing to set up retreat time, Anne.
Right. And to Harlan's point about the first week of, or the first board meeting in August as being the next logical time for us to have a discussion is problematic because, Suzanne, I don't believe you will be there, nor do I believe Marnie will be there. So that's
correct.
really not a good solution as far as our next discussion point, because I think if we're going into this, all 5 of us have to be there. Because it's going to be difficult enough for the administration to figure out what the 5 of us are saying, because since we don't actually make decisions while in exec session, they're interpreting what we're each saying, that it will be very difficult if we don't have all 5 of us. So maybe we need to schedule additional time that 3rd week of August if we get Suzanne and Marnie back.
Yeah, now I know I can phone in most likely or Zoom in if possible. I think things will be done by 8 p.m. my time because I'll be in Louisville, or at least 7 p.m. So I could phone into a conversation, but yeah, if we can do it all there, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm gonna have difficulty phoning into that. But I have oodles of time the week of the 16th. Well, not oodles. I come home the evening of the 16th, so I can do 17, 18, or 20. If it's in the evening. 19th, I have a problem.
I can do any of those days.
The 17th and 18th look good.
This is of August, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
17th for sure should be fine for me. And again, yeah, 17th should be great.
Now, again, are we talking day or evening?
Well, Harlan's shaking his head, so hang on a minute.
For the 17th or 18th, it would have to be a daytime, like before 2 p.m. Like it'd have
I
to
can-
end by 2 p.m. Probably earlier, actually, 1, to end at 1. Otherwise, I'm available Monday.
Yeah, I'm not here on Monday.
Daytime 17 is fine with me.
Daytime 17 works. Marnie, for you? So pick the hours, Harlan.
Uh, 10 to 12. That way we have time to extra if we need more.
Okay, 10 to 12 on the 17th.
Ron, does that work? Ron and Jake?
It works. I'm going to make whatever dates work for you all work for me. So yes, Ann.
Just the Friday the 20th is not, it's my wife's birthday, and she would not appreciate an evening meeting that night. Other than that, I'm good.
Okay, and is this then an exec session or is this a special meeting?
It sounds like it should be an exec session. 'Cause
Yes,
it's about
Yeah, the
budget.
bargaining parameters, it would be about
Okay.
the bargaining, it'd be exec session.
likely we'll have some updates as well.
Okay. So before we get too far into anything else, does somebody maybe want to make a motion to set up these 2 meetings?
Okay, I'll give it a try.
Okay,
I move the board hold an exec session on bargaining on Monday, July 26th at 5 p.m. and Tuesday, August 17th at 10 a.m. I guess I don't know how long we wanted that first one to go. So if we wanted,
We usually just provide a start time, so.
okay, then that's what I did.
did I hear a second?
Marnie did.
Marnie seconded. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
I,
Opposed? Okay, so we have 2 exec sessions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now, there's still the issue of the retreat. We don't actually have to set the date now so much as I think we need to at least find a time frame or send out a doodle or do something, or we can set the date now. And the 2 dates don't have to be together.
Which month are we thinking?
Well, that's a good question. I think given what we've just done, that we might be looking at late August or September. Arlen says no.
No to which?
The
Yeah,
entire month and a half that I just laid out there.
Yeah, I think earliest I could do would be early October. And I think
Wow.
Marnie had said that September was out for her too.
yeah, the second full week, we're gonna be out of town. So the week of the 13th, we'll be out of town. Because I don't have children, so we're taking our summer vacation in September.
I see. All right, do we want to look at early October?
I think early October is better. I have a lot, now that everybody's getting back to the office, there's a lot queuing up in September without exact dates. So October is probably more safe for me as well.
Okay,
Yeah. So starting October 6th, I would be available. I'm not available the 1st, 4th, or 5th. And not the last week of October.
okay. How are we looking for the 6th through the 15th?
I'm not available the 7th or 8th.
Okay,
11 and 12.
Those are open.
11th is technically a holiday. Maybe it's not, I don't know.
Not, I don't think it's a school
Oh,
holiday.
Columbus Day.
No, I guess it's not. Sorry, my bad. I'm looking at my phone calendar. I can do either the 11th or the 12th.
I can do the 11th and 12th, either or. Are we, and then we're talking day, because these are all like an all day.
This would be an all
Like
day.
9 to 5-ish. Okay.
Yeah.
I think she asked to block off 2 days, Anne. So I think we're looking for 2 full days. to
Well,
block
I
off
did.
after.
They don't have to be back to back.
It's gonna be
11's good for me. And frankly, if I needed to do 12, now would be the time to put both of those days off.
I say just book it.
11 and 12. Anne, can you do that?
I can do the 11 and 12. And Harlan, those work both for you? Okay.
Maybe we should grab them while we
I
can.
think so. I think
Yeah.
we should grab them and then, so I'll make a motion and then if we have to change.
Yeah.
Ron, does that work for you guys?
Yeah.
And I mean, we don't need the whole admin team there for all of it, certainly for the, where we're monitoring our own policies. Ron can be there if he wants, but we don't need everybody else. So, and then I have to think about actually what all we'll be doing, but we just know, we know there will be plenty.
Okay, so we want a motion?
Yes, please.
I move the board hold retreat meetings, October 11th and 12th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. if we needed that.
In the admin building.
Well, yeah, and the other ones too, in the admin building.
I second
There.
that.
Marnie, second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Speak now or no. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
I
Opposed? And we have a retreat.
Great.
Okay, that was way harder than it should have been, but thank you.
not too bad.
No, you got 4 dates calendared. That's pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah, that's, I told Diane it would only take 10 minutes, so clearly I lied, but I tried. Okay, anything else for the good of the order?
Wonderful month. Have a wonderful July, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, you too.
Ew.
And Harlan, you're going to run the meeting for me in August? Thank you so much. Okay, in that case, this meeting is adjourned.
Great. Thank you, everybody.